Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you have the opportunity to join me. I'm Dr. Jan. This is Russell Institute of Learning Sidebar Education, and I am so glad you are joining me. As I go through and explain more about Russell Institute of Learning and the research that I did that qualifies me as a pedagogical progressive, as I'm reading and remembering and sharing this information, I get a little uncomfortable. Not because of my research. I think I did an excellent job, and I am glad I did it. But I think because, again, the terminology of what's going on in our world and community, that people aren't going to get past some of the words and the dogma, and they're going to instantly take a side in a camp and decide, well, this isn't quality, this doesn't matter. And so I have a great concern that when we start talking about progressivism, and what I'm about ready to read about the administrative twist on progressive education and the standardized test, I am not talking into the disparity that is somewhat going on in the media. Yes, there is disparity, but it's not based upon color. Even though it may be identified to some degree because of color, it's not because of color. It may be because of where certain individuals have lived, and it's systemic. It's not just happening, and it doesn't even have to really deal with what people are wanting to call about slavery and this and that, because you know what? We are realizing and having to understand that slavery is not about color. Slavery is about being put under subjection of laws and regulations that keep you from rising to the potential that God gave you. Inalienable rights, that all men are created equal, and that we should be judged not by the color of our skin, but the content of our character. Martin Luther King Jr. So as I read this, I'm going to be talking about the standardization, and I'm not trying to create an argument for battle, but I'm creating the conversation. Then what are we going to do about it? Instead of arguing of who started this and why is it like that, and stop fighting. So if there's a disparity, what can we do now? And it's throwing money at it is not the answer. It hasn't been the answer, and it won't be. It's going to be a complete restructuring of the education organization and looking at the students, for the students, and leading them to a place of independence that they are going to be able to be solid citizens and adults of the future. Not people who have to be told how to act and what they should think. Give them the facts, give them the information, and then give them the opportunity to do with it as God puts upon their hearts, because we are also going to be implementing moral values. So I'm trying real hard to stay out of that arena, but you know what? I think we all need to know. Education should be about facts, truth, and then let God and the moral value be able to speak through the education. We've taken God out of the education, thinking separation church of state, and that's not what the original founders said. It was about government not impeding upon the church. And now the church has become so silent because we're weak, and we're going there. I'm sorry. Let's just go with. I want us to know we've got to stand up. We need to take authority for the education of our children, and it is a parental right for you to educate your children, and it is one of those items that we cannot allow that to be taken away from us. You as a parent know your child the best, and you know the education. Give us the standards. Tell us what they need to know, and we will make sure they know them. We will get them there in the manner that they need to be, but don't tell us how to do it. That's me. Administrative twist on progressive child education. Standardized testing as a method of evaluating student achievement is particularly undesirable for lower socioeconomic and minority students. This is true because standardized tests have historically been normed by a general population that consists of middle to upper middle class European American students, and I give the list of references where that was found. While all ethnicities have been included in newer versions of the standardized test, the minority numbers are lower and the answers to the test are still generated by a majority of middle to upper middle class European American adults that may not realize or count as valid minority frames of reference within the background of minority students taking the standardized test. Colloquial statements, different jargons that are absolutely known and true within an ethnicity that a larger population may not be aware of, and shows the acute understanding of that child. But when they are asked to give some other answer that is deemed as correct, it's marked wrong. But that is only because they had no clue of the language. It's a language issue, and it's a dialect, in my opinion, as well as maybe some others. But I'm just telling you, it isn't about smartness or capability. In my 2010 critical analysis of methods learning achievements for the Antioch University PhD in Leadership and Change program, 3 main areas of concern that affected student performance on standardized tests were evident. First, student attitude directly impacts the outcome on standardized tests. Not all students have a willingness or a desire to perform on high-stake tests. Students disengage themselves in striving to perform well on the standardized assessments, and some students, after a lengthy period of discouragement, may drop out of school. We see that over and over. It's like, I'm not going to take a test. I'm not going to let you tell me what I have to do. So this is like, oh. And I'm a teacher, and I know there are kids who don't give a rat's darn about the test. We as the adults tend to. And what is the test really wanting to perform? It's trying to put people in category. Oh, well, you're going to need, you're going to need scaffolding, and you're going to need intervention, and you need to go to this program. Maybe if we'd slow down and teach in a manner that the child got the information, they wouldn't need those extra programs. Oh my goodness, I just got to keep going, because I've even heard more conversation as of yesterday that every time we indicate that someone is put into a program, follow the money. Somebody else is now getting paid. Okay, well, that money, why can't we put it back into the student and give them what they need versus sending them somewhere else to give them what we say they need, and they really don't need it, and they don't even benefit because they don't want to do it. We're just paper, administrative paper. Second, linguistics is a function of demographics, culture, and dialect, and can affect standardized test performance. Again, list of resources. Students with a different background than the majority on whom the tests are normed are penalized because their environment does not provide adequate preparation for the standardized test questions and answers. Third is test bias. The construction and analysis of tests create an unfair advantage for European American students of middle to upper middle socioeconomic class. European American students of middle to upper middle socioeconomic backgrounds may have experienced cultural exchanges of interactions within families and community that are included within a test question that, when viewed from a different ethnic group's experience, leads to a different but correct answer for the minority student, but wrong for the predetermined test answer. While linguistics still plays a part, it is not the fundamental focal point. Test bias may very well be a factor of vocabulary or be a difference in the experience of completing a timed assessment format. Students very capable of answering the questions receive a poor score when they cannot complete all the listed items within the specified standardized test time, thereby excluding them from scholarships or entrance into higher levels of learning experience. And that's where I'm going to stop. I'm really not trying to deal with the political climate out there that is talking about we need to be less white, that we have white, privilege or any of those. Come on, people. It's distracting us from the real need. And I really don't like going there. But you know what? It has become an issue that is affecting our children. Let us think of children as children, not color, not race, not ethnicity. What is it that they need to know? Tell us what it is and we will get them there. We need to build the education based upon the individual child. And unfortunately, what I was watching, which, hey, I am a government school teacher. Wherever I've been, that's what I've been. Oh, yep, I have been private and I have done tutoring and I am my own independent person. But my day job is a government teacher. There's a lot of parents who are starting to pull their children out, especially after this COVID, and say, you know what? I don't like what the school is teaching. I don't believe the school is being consistent with my moral values. I don't believe they're teaching us everything my child needs to know about history. And I think that they are skewing the truth. The education environment at large needs to be thinking about what are we teaching our children? What is it that they need to know? And we need to realize that, parents have a right and they're going to stand up and they're going to start taking the responsibility a lot more serious about the education of their children because they are noticing that the current system is failing. And after being out of schools for the last year, the parents have been a lot more responsible, not necessarily happily or think that it's easy, but there's going to be a lot of other parents who are starting to take control and responsibility of educating their children, and it will not be in the public school system. So if we are wanting to maintain having students to be in the public school system, we're going to need to rethink what it is we are teaching, why we are teaching it, and who's telling us what to teach. Should it be the parents? Should it be the local communities? Or are we going to continue with this administrative top-down telling us what to do of people who might never have been a teacher in the first place or in the classroom or haven't been in there recently or had to try to teach virtually? I'm trying, ladies and gentlemen. I'm reading to you what I researched years enough ago. 2012, 2013 published dissertation and been practicing it long before I ever did the research and have been practicing it since. And I'm just wanting people to know it's time to wake up. I can't believe what's going on in the American public education, but it's not just the United States, because everybody wants to be like the United States. So you go wherever you are, and there's a lot of people who are doing the same thing. However, there are small pockets of people who are trying to make the change. So let's do our research. Let's look out there. Let's find out what's going on and start speaking up and being part of our child's education. I'm Dr. Jan. This is Russell Institute Sidebar Education. Please like, follow, comment, and share. Hey, and you know what? If you don't like what I said, please comment. It should be valid. Everybody should have a voice. Let's talk about it. Help. Let's talk. Let's be positive. Let's be negative. But we still have to have everyone's voice so that we can make better choices. Oh, that's part of my research too. Yeah, everybody should have a voice who are the stakes within this education system. I've run long. We will pick up beyond the 3 areas of concern surrounding standardized tests. We will take that into consideration on our next. I will try not to be too, commentary, but you need to know this is the passion of my heart. I want the education for our children, not for us to just build silos to stick them in and shove them through like a factory and say, oh, they did get educated, and when they get out, they have no clue how to be a person of independent thought and how to ascertain and research truth versus opinion versus fact and lies. We've got to help our students be better educated in discernment. See you again tomorrow. Bye.